Gotta love the intro.
Gotta love it. Missed it. Been a long time. RockySwamp back for season, I don't know, 2 maybe.
Yeah, we'll call it season 2. I don't even think we did a full season 1.
No. We're gonna just stick to college football. We figured that out.
Yeah, that's what we know.
I don't follow enough. I mean, I follow. I just don't.
I'm not as in depth with it as I am college football.
No.
I feel like that in the NFL. I think I could talk for days on college football by itself, and then you can add the NFL in a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Just football in general.
Football in general.
It doesn't matter what it is. Arena League, Canadian League.
I don't even know if they have an Arena League anymore.
What is that? The thing that they were doing. I didn't watch any of it, but the player league, or the fan league, or whatever it was called, where the
Oh yeah.
I'm not real sure what that was. I saw it on a couple times, but I never watched it.
That's what Johnny Manziel was in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the fans vote on stuff that happens during the game, or they would like to see during the game, or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I watched. Was it like Spring League? Where you had to. It's like a tryout league or something like that.
Yeah, that's something.
I
like
don't
that.
remember. I watched a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Off and on. It's been a long time. Finally back. Pandemic shut us down.
Yeah.
Then I had to work. And you got to work.
Yep. Life happens.
Life.
But
we're going to stick to this and do college football throughout the season.
Yep.
So we should be good.
Which is getting ready to crank up. I think Tennessee starts their fall practices Wednesday, which would be, what is today, the 2nd? So tomorrow, the 3rd, August 3rd.
Yep.
Get the first look at Josh Heupel. Not really the first look. He had the spring game, and the offense looked really explosive. But the main reason why we have gathered here today
is the big news that which everybody knows, but we're going to discuss.
We're going to discuss and give our takes on it. But
if anybody cares to listen.
Yeah, well, you know.
The SEC will be a 16-team league. 2025, supposedly, we think before. Before
then, for sure. Too much money to be made to wait.
Oh, there's money, yeah.
The main thing that I think's funny is all the Big 12 teams that are butthurt about it. Like, oh, we're going to lose so much money if Texas and Oklahoma leave. Well, then you shouldn't have hitched your wagon to 2 teams, and that's the way you get your money. You should have been a better team.
Well, I mean, I don't know why the Big 12 didn't do like the SEC anyway. Everybody gets the same amount.
Yeah.
That only seems fair to me. I mean,
yeah, and that's the main reason probably why they're leaving.
And Texas and Oklahoma carry football, right? Well, Baylor won the national championship in basketball.
Yeah.
So, why,
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think it's a good move for the SEC, but the main motive is definitely money for Texas and Oklahoma, because they're going to make more money in the SEC than they did in the Big 12, just for the simple fact that the SEC does evenly split everything. So the money that Alabama gets for the conference for winning a national championship gets split amongst the teams evenly, instead of Alabama getting the lion's share of everything.
Right.
Which, if you want to be a good conference, that's the way to do it.
And I don't know if the others do that or not. I don't know.
No,
I don't know if the ACC's like that, or I don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
I know the SEC.
I know the Big 12 definitely wasn't like that.
No.
Texas got most of the money, even though they wasn't the best team in the conference.
Yeah.
But I just think it's kind of silly, too, the Texas lawmakers trying to block it. Like,
I just want politics out of sports.
Yeah, well, it's just, why are they so worried about it?
I don't know. Probably because they're alums of some other Big 12 school.
Probably, and they know that they probably went to Baylor or Texas Tech or something, and they know that Texas leaving hurts their school that they went to, or, their area that they represent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sports, it's football. Who cares? If they want to leave, let them leave.
I mean,
if Alabama came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, we're leaving the SEC for something," well, let them go.
I mean, you feel that way. There's a lot of people that wouldn't.
No, I agree. Most Tennessee fans might agree with it.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I'm wrong with that, because it's been brought up before. Should we play Alabama every year? And everybody says yes, because of the tradition and rivalry, or whatever you want to call it. I say we get rid of it for, a few years and let us catch our breath.
Yeah. Which brings up the whole thing of the realignment. So is and before we get into the SEC realignment, how's the alignment going to go for the rest of the nation? I don't know. Do I think the Big 12 will stay? I don't. I know there's some people who think that they'll bring in like Houston, UCF,
Cincinnati maybe.
Yeah, some of those, which I don't. When it comes to conferences, I'm not necessarily a traditionalist. I like things to be geographically organized. I like that. To me, West Virginia never belonged in the Big 12. I didn't like that move when that happened. TCU, I could see when they went to the Big 12. That made sense. But speaking of the geographical way it's set up, the way I like it, which that's just me, I'm weird. I felt like maybe if we could have picked any two schools, of course I know that's not feasible, but any two schools to add to give us 16 teams, Texas and Oklahoma would not have been my first choices.
Not if you look at it from a geographical sense, but if you want to look at it as making the conference better, then
I understand
there's a couple teams. If you throw geographical, distances out, you'd probably want to grab Ohio State or Clemson or something like that. But I mean, you're grabbing
Ohio State.
Yeah.
No.
If you're throwing geographical things out the window, like if you're
throwing geographic. I want it to be because of geographical. So I think it should be like Clemson, which it's never going to happen. Clemson's not going to leave the powder puff league at the ACC.
Yeah.
But
they're not going to do anything to make it tougher on themselves.
But I think it should have been Clemson and either Georgia Tech, Florida State, Miami,
North Carolina,
possibly. Yeah.
But they're not going to leave Duke.
No.
I mean, you could still keep that rivalry together with
Virginia would fit. Maybe.
I mean, obviously, you don't want cross-country travel. Like, you don't want to add, Oregon and make them have to fly over and play South Carolina or whatnot.
They got the money,
but for me, I want the conferences to be the best of the best.
I understand that. So I got a thing here. And it says the future college. And you said you hadn't seen this, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
So it says, and this is how it would all realign. It would be every conference having 16 teams, right?
Yeah.
So the ACC would be what the ACC is now, adding West Virginia and Notre Dame. I don't have a problem with that.
Notre Dame's already halfway in anyway.
They're more than half.
And West Virginia makes sense.
I
mean,
perfect
I guess
sense.
they can make sense. It's not really Atlantic Coast.
Well, you got Syracuse in there.
Yeah.
Boston College.
But that's still the Atlantic Coast.
Yeah.
But still, that's a long way to travel.
From Miami to
Boston.
Or Boston. Miami to Indiana is a long way too.
Yeah.
Then the Big 10, which would be like the Big 16, which they actually changed the emblem, which I think is pretty cool. Anyhow, you would put who is it they're adding? Iowa State, and Kansas. That's who they would add. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
There's 12. No.
Yeah, they're adding Iowa State and Kansas.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in there.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't make that conference any better. Iowa State's okay. Kansas is trash.
Not in basketball though.
Yeah,
are we just looking at it football wise? I'm looking at it overall.
I mean, yeah, you can look at it overall. So Iowa State still doesn't really bring anything to the table to me. Kansas definitely brings in a blue blood basketball program.
Yeah.
Same thing with West Virginia going to the ACC. They're good in basketball.
Right, and then it has the Big 12 still. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, they would add Colorado State, which I don't think they belong in the Big 12. Air Force, Wyoming, Cincinnati, Tulsa,
Memphis.
Who else is on it? Louisiana Tech, Rice fits. That's North Texas, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
SMU, Louisiana. Good Lord.
They would have to add a lot because they only got 10 teams now.
Yeah.
So they would have to.
No, well, they're losing. They're down to 8.
What's what I'm saying?
Texas, Oklahoma leaving,
right.
And then when Iowa State and Kansas go to the Big 16, they're down to 6. So they're having to add 10 teams, and that right there, just by looking at that, you're not a Power 5 conference anymore, in my opinion. You have dropped down.
And see, they got the Pac-16 adding TCU, Texas Tech, which I think they should just stay in the Big 12, and you would put Colorado State and Air Force in the Pac-16, along with Boise State, because Colorado's already in the Pac-12. So I don't know why you wouldn't put Colorado State in the Pac-12. That don't make sense.
If you're wanting to keep rivalries intact.
Yeah.
Now, this is also speculation. This is somebody's what they think is going to happen.
I just thought it was interesting.
Because obviously it's going to happen because the SEC goes to 16. That's going to force all the other conferences to go to 16 as well.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually. I don't see why. Because now the SEC is going to get a ton of teams in the playoffs when it moves to 12 teams.
Is it for sure going?
12 teams? 100%. Too much money to be made. Everything's money driven.
Well, yeah.
Do I think 12 teams is awesome? I think it might be a little too much.
What do you think, 8?
I say 8, where you get your 5 power conference champions and then one group of 5 champion, the highest rated group of 5 champion, and then 2 at-large bids in case, say, Alabama loses in their SEC championship game, they can still get in.
I can see that.
Yeah, somebody like that. Where the off chance that a team not as good as, say, Alabama, say Florida makes it, they're not as good as Alabama, their record's not as good. Well, Florida gets the automatic bid because they won the championship.
Right.
Alabama still gets to get in as an at-large because it was a fluke that happened.
I agree.
But 12 teams should still be exciting, at least the first round, because you're going to have 4 teams get a bye. So those first round matchups, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, those should be pretty exciting matchups. But once those teams move on and start playing the top 4, that's where it's going to get out of hand, I think. And
well, right now, it's the same 4 teams every year for the most part.
Yeah, and that pushes us into that name, image, likeness deal that happens later, that we'll talk about later on. What I'm hoping that will actually do to combat the same 4 teams from getting all the players.
Yeah.
But as far as the conference expansion and stuff, it threw me for a loop when I read that Texas and Oklahoma were wanting to leave, because I felt like, especially Oklahoma, they pretty much walk into the playoffs every year for the most part. They have an opportunity because they run the Big 12. Absolutely. Why would they want to join the hardest conference in America and make it even harder for themselves? But it's got to be money driven. And it helps recruiting.
I think Oklahoma felt like Texas was getting the biggest amount of money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And maybe that's what it was.
And too. Oklahoma's driving the Big 12.
Yeah, so that they felt like they were getting unfairly treated, which I could see, because if you're the one making the playoffs every year, but the team that you're beating every year to win the Big 12 is getting all the money, then that don't make no sense.
No, it ain't.
Then you look across the state line over into Louisiana and all that, and you're like, oh, y'all share everything evenly. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to have some of that.
And it's not like Texas and Oklahoma joining is. You got to go back to, I don't even know what year it was, but you had the old Southwestern Conference. Texas and Arkansas was a huge rivalry back in the day. And Oklahoma and Texas want to stay together, obviously, for the Red River Shootout or whatever it's called now, the PG version. They're going to stay together, Oklahoma and Texas is. Yeah. And now that raises the question, who's going to be the first to win the SEC? Is it going to be Oklahoma? Which one of them will you think could win it first?
Oh, definitely Oklahoma.
By 2025? If I say they don't join until 2025. Because you got Steve Sarkisian down there now. And we're all Alabama blind to coaches.
Yeah.
How long is Lincoln Riley going to stay?
True. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking like right now.
Oh, as of right now, yeah.
As of right now, say they join today, Oklahoma wins before Texas hands down.
Oh, yeah.
But does Oklahoma even win?
Oh, I don't know.
That's the question. Like, yeah, they're jumping ship because they're going to be able to get more money, but they're making things a whole lot harder on themselves.
Yeah.
And especially because the way that they're probably going to realign the conference, they can run the West, but then they'll have to still play Alabama for the SEC championship because everybody's saying that Alabama-Auburn move over to the East to make room for Texas.
Man, I hope not.
I know you don't hope not.
I don't hope not. You know I hope not.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But no, I don't want them in the East.
Of course you don't, because you don't want to play them every year.
So do you think they'll do it with the 18 divisions, or do you think they'll divide it up like we've seen 4, 4, and 4? However it was.
It was the 4 team per pod thing. The only way that's going to work to me is if you make a SEC playoff.
Yeah.
That's the only way that makes sense to me. I think they'll still do the 8 team per division and make it 9 conference games instead of 8.
So you'd at least get everybody every 4 years, right?
Something like that. But it still keeps you got your East winner, your West winner, they meet in the championship. Because with the 4-pod, 4-team, to me the only way that works is if you take the winner of each pod, whoever that may be, whatever the pods are set up as, and they play 4 teams play each other in a semifinal round, and then the winners play for the SEC championship.
Yeah, and I think too, the West is getting. I mean, Alabama and LSU a couple years ago, but the West has dominated for a while now, and they're only getting better. I think Ole Miss is on the upswing with Kiffin. I don't know about Mississippi State with Leach. I don't know. We'll see.
Arkansas didn't do terrible. They
and then you got Mizzou in the East. They're not a pushover anymore. Really, I mean,
See, they would be switching over to the West.
Exactly. So I don't know why you would. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to set it up. I wish they'd go ahead and say. I don't know why they're not.
Because there's probably a lot of red tape. They're trying to make every team happy. Obviously you want to keep some rivalries intact, but at the same time, I don't know if you saw Kirk Herbstreit. He was really upset that this was happening because he calls himself a traditionalist and he likes to see traditional rivalries. But
what are we losing?
Oklahoma State, stuff like that.
They can still play.
Yeah, exactly, but it's not like an every year thing and it doesn't matter because it's not a conference game, whatever. But he was just saying that the sport that he loves is changing so much, and he sounds like an old 80-year-old man that's scared of cell phones.
Yeah,
that's part of life is things coming up and you having to adjust to them. Yeah. I like making new rivalries, and to me, if the rivalry's one-sided, it's not really a rivalry anymore. Yeah, sure. The only people that really care about it's the fans anyway. But, nobody cares about Oklahoma State unless you're from Oklahoma. And I guess that's what he's saying. Yeah. It's like it sucks for those guys. But at the same time, new rivalries will happen. And that'll make it exciting as well. Because nobody realizes if they move Alabama-Auburn over to the East, that renews a rivalry with Tennessee and Auburn that was there way before there was ever a Georgia-Florida rivalry.
That's true. And somebody else, I was talking to a guy at work about it, and the biggest crowd that Tennessee's had in the past, years, we were there for. Mm-hmm. And it was not an SEC game.
No.
It was it was Tennessee, Oklahoma. They projected, I think the official thing was 101, but they feel like there's 103 to 104,000. Broke the sound record there. I mean, it was loud, was it not?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my ears were, I've never left a football game with my ears ringing until that game. So, I mean, the excitement's there.
And that almost was a rivalry that was starting because...
And it was a great game.
Yeah.
Now I've also had an argument. A friend of mine, of course, Staten Anthony, huge Texas fan, right? I mean, diehard Horns fan. We're talking about it, and I made the statement. I said, well, the Big 12, there's one thing the SEC does that the Big 12 doesn't. And he's like, what's that? I was like, play defense. Now, I know that there's been a lot of points scored in the past couple of years as Saban shifted more towards offense than defense because he's adapting, right? But I still felt like I still feel like the defense of the SEC is superior to the defenses that they're facing in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. When you go play West Virginia as Texas and they put 45 on you, what's Alabama going to do to you? Yeah. If West Virginia's putting 45 on you, what's Alabama going to do? What's Georgia, Florida, Tennessee?
With the new high-powered offense we're supposed to have.
So, I don't know.
I agree with you. There's not a whole lot of defense being played across all the leagues. It's just because one, they handcuff the defense with the rules and the penalties and stuff like that because most people want to see a high-scoring game. I, for one, do like seeing high-scoring games. But I also like a defense that can smack you in the mouth too. So I like a good balance. I don't like seeing 6-3 games, but I also
Well,
don't want to see 70-63 games.
what was it, Alabama and LSU some years ago?
It was like
in
12-9.
The national championships. I enjoyed that because it was just such a struggle.
I get it. You know, nobody's giving up a yard here or there, but you know, at the same time, I don't cut on college football to watch, you know, 2 runs, a pass, and a punt all game. That's boring.
I know what you're saying.
So, but anyway, defense isn't getting played the way that it used to back in the day, and that's because, one, the offenses are just so good now, and they want to run 5 wide receivers out there every play.
Spread.
Which causes you to have more smaller defensive backs on the field, so you don't have these big linebackers stuffing the run. And I think it's exciting, but you're right. The SEC still plays better defense than the other leagues.
I think that's what helped us in 2006 and 2008 when we won with Urban was running the spread, and a lot of people wasn't running it in the conference at the time. It wasn't a new thing, but for the SEC it was new.
Yeah.
You know, we wasn't playing power iron and that stuff. We was playing the spread offense with a mobile quarterback, and it was new and it helped. But now everybody's caught up to that. And you know, defenses are going to find a way to shut it down again.
And then the offensive coordinators will figure out how to beat that defense. And that's what's cool about it, is that there are these shifts where
you stop the pass, we're going to run it up your mouth.
Yeah, and so there's these shifts of power where the offense has the upper hand for a while, and then the defense gets, you know, it's just like in the NFL when they had the Wildcat. Nobody could stop the Wildcat, and then they finally figured it out. And then guess what? Nobody runs the Wildcat anymore. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't think Texas is really knowing what they're getting into. You can't even win the Big 12.
All right, Steve Spurrier.
No, that's true. When he said that, I was like, you know what? He's right.
I agree.
Like, I think Oklahoma is definitely more suited to coming to the SEC. I feel like a high-powered offense. They'll have to step their defense up. But I mean, right now the way football is played, if you can score points, you can win a game.
Yeah, and I feel like Texas had a really bad hire with Tom Herman. I don't feel like that was a good hire.
Yeah, well, it was at the time because look what he did with Houston.
Yeah, but that's Houston.
It is Houston, but he was beating top teams with 3-star recruits. That means he can coach. I guess the way that he coaches didn't translate to these higher rated recruits.
Well, you know, they had Charlie Strong down there, and a lot of people liked Charlie, but Charlie was too strict. In a sense, is what a lot of people said. Now, when they had Mac Brown, yeah, they won a national championship. But I feel like Mac made them soft in the end.
Yeah.
But now he's at Carolina, and, I mean, I think they're maybe the second best team in the ACC this year. They got some good recruits. Sam Howell, to me, is a great quarterback. I seen him play the last year? Year before? I don't know, man. COVID's messed my memory up, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember when I went, but I went and watched him play at Wake Forest, and Sam Howell's legit, man.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback.
He's a good quarterback.
So Mac's getting some good recruits in, as far as that goes. But you look at the caliber of coaches in the SEC. I mean, it's really a who's who of college,
but also
football savants or whatever you want to call it.
The best teams in the SEC,
yeah,
for the most part, are all offensive-minded coaches.
Okay.
Because offense wins games now.
All right. So we got Dan.
You got Dan Mullen. You got Mike Leach. You got Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
We don't know about Josh Heupel, but he's definitely.
Well, I mean, you can look at his track record down.
You can look at his track record, and I hate to bring this up. Everybody that says Josh Heupel is a bad hire right now, we don't know that for sure.
Give him a chance.
But when you're talking about his track record, he took over an undefeated team. There's only one way to go from being undefeated, and that's down.
Oh yeah, you can't beat that.
So, his first year as coach, he lost one game.
Yeah, and look what was the guy's name? Frost. That
yeah,
left.
Scott Frost. Look what he's doing in Nebraska,
right? I mean, come on.
So I'm hoping that, you know.
But now if Nebraska was back in the Big 12 and not the Big 10, when all that shifted, you remember that when all that happened? How would he have done in the Big 12? He may have been better. The Big 10 is not a push. I mean, that's Ohio State's conference, but
you still got good teams that play hard-nosed football.
And while we're on the subject, if there's any Michigan fans listening, I just got to ask the question: Why did y'all keep Harbaugh? Why? I don't understand that. I asked a guy. I met a guy at work. He works at anyway. He comes to where I work. He's got a mask on, face mask. Y'all gotta wear him. But he's got a Michigan Wolverines face mask on. It's like, hey man, why'd y'all keep Jim Harbaugh? Oh, he's gonna do great things. I don't understand why they keep drinking the Jim Harbaugh Kool-Aid. Because I'm telling you, man, I just don't think he's got it.
I was gonna say that
because there wasn't nobody else to hire.
Well, no, I was going to say most fans probably want him gone, and they're mad that they kept him.
Well, who they? I mean,
yeah, that's always the question. Is like, oh, if you fire your coach, who are you going to get? Well, can't get no worse. I mean, it could, but
I say that they beat us.
Yeah, but it was a bowl game, right? Or was that the first game?
The first game of the season,
yeah,
like
that's
a couple
right.
years ago.
That don't matter. But I don't think he's ever beat a rival.
No.
Just gets blown out by Ohio State all the time.
Has he ever beat Michigan State as far as rivalry goes? I don't know that he has.
I don't think so. I think he's lost all of his rivalry games.
You ain't got no.
Yeah.
We'll see if he'll pull up.
But it's just, I said 2 years ago that Jim Harbaugh would be the first one to get fired. And here we are. He got extended. I don't get it.
I don't either.
But
he's 1-6 against the rivals.
Okay, so he's won one game.
It wasn't Ohio State.
No. He's never beat Ohio State. But
I don't know, dude. I don't know. The khaki wonder hasn't got it going on. You know what I'm saying? He just, I don't know.
I guess they don't.
It's off subject, but I mean, I don't run into a lot of Michigan fans down here.
No.
There will be more if they start winning. Just like Boise State fans. There, you don't run into a lot of them. No, Oregon fans. Yeah, they're the worst. Sorry, G.
It's just whoever's winning at the time. Like, you used to not see a whole bunch of Alabama fans, but
but now,
all you see. Clemson fans, they've come out through woodwork.
Now this is just going to kind of take us into a little segue of the NIL thing, the name, image, likeness. If it benefits anybody, it benefits Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the money Oregon has with I can't remember the guy's name, Phil Knight or whatever.
Yeah, Phil Knight, yeah.
So they're going to have the money and the endorsement power. I mean, look at what he's built at Oregon for Oregon itself as an alum, and then I don't understand if you're a booster or an alum, and you own a company, can that company endorse a player? Kind of like y'all with the Pilot J thing. Mm-hmm. Is he able to plaster a quarterback's face over every Pilot J in the nation? Is Nike able to sponsor the number one quarterback coming out of high school because they want him to come to Oregon, so they sponsor him? Is that allowed? I don't know. I've tried to find out. I can't really figure anything. I don't know if they know.
I'm not reading through the whole.
It's kind of It's kind of like the Wild Wild West right now, and I think, and where me and you differ on this, I don't mind the guys getting paid. I don't have a problem with that, or girls, whatever. I don't mind anybody getting paid. That's fine. Whatever. You're putting in the work. I mean, college football, college athletics, and academics, that's a full-time job. Mm-hmm. To me, it is. Okay? So I don't have a problem. It
brings in billions of dollars.
Oh, Lord, yeah. I mean, you got chancellors and professors making money out the wazoo. So I don't have a problem with people getting paid. However, I do feel like it takes away, I don't think you can call it recruiting anymore. It's almost free agency. Because you know good and well, if I go, if I'm a number one prospect coming out, right, and I go to Ohio State, I'm going to make more money going to Ohio State than I would to App State, which I wouldn't go to App State anyway if I'm no more recruit. But you understand what I'm saying. If I'm looking, if I'm a top recruit and I'm looking, Oregon's over here, Ohio State's here, Florida's my dream. Well, if I go to Florida, I'm going to make some money because they got the Jordan brand, right? So I'm going to make some money down there. Ohio State, I'll probably make some money, but Phil Knight comes and says, hey, man, well, Nike will endorse you. We'll give you this, X amount of money. Even though I may have never thought about going to Oregon, that money is going to pull me. Especially, and let's just be honest about it, a lot of these guys come from nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's just be plain. Well, I'm going to get this money. That's going to help my family. And I can send this, I'm going to have enough to make it. I'm going to be able to get my mom and them, help them out. So to me, it's a free agency thing. And then you got the transfer portal, which is going to be wide smack open. They got to put a cap somewhere. Yeah,
the whole NIL thing, like you said, I don't know if you're a booster for a school and you own a company, can you pay that player? But my thing is, I think it levels the playing field.
Because it does.
No, here's my reasoning.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Say I'm the number one recruit.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tennessee's not that good,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where I want to play.
That's where you want to be.
It's where I want to be.
Okay.
I go to Georgia instead because they've paid me under the table.
Under the table, right.
Not saying that happens, but let's be honest. Every school has paid players under the table, and we got caught for it.
It's only cheating when you get caught.
Exactly, but everybody does it. Everybody.
Yeah, it's happened for years.
This actually takes that away.
It does.
But my point is, I went to Georgia because they paid me.
Okay.
Okay. Even though my heart was set on Tennessee because I grew up a Tennessee fan.
Yeah.
Nothing more I wanted to do than play for Tennessee.
Right.
Now with the NIL, I can go to Tennessee as the number one recruit, be the face of that program, hopefully turn it around, and still make the same amount of money off of endorsements that I would Georgia paying me under the table.
So it's basically going to be, yeah, but see, I don't think that's true. The schools that's got the most money is going to get the best recruits.
No, but that's the thing. The schools aren't paying.
When I say the schools, I don't mean the schools within itself. I'm talking about the schools with the most money backing the program.
No, that's not the way the NIL works.
I don't care what you say. It is how it works.
Because, like you said, Phil Knight wants to get the number one recruit to come to Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, him as a businessman, he's not going to not sponsor that kid with Nike because that kid's going to make him money. So whether he goes to Oregon or he goes to Georgia as a businessman, he's going to sponsor that kid. He wants that kid to sign with him.
But if the boosters can pay,
if the boosters can pay, I don't
because you
think
can make your money off your name and you got to think of what it says: name, image, and likeness, right? So it's my name. My name. Basically, my name is a trademark. Okay, me and you sitting here. I'm a Florida guy. You're a Tennessee guy, right? This dude's in the air about where he wants to go. You say, "Hey, man, $5,000 for this autograph right here to go to Tennessee." I'm like, "That's fine. I'll give you $20,000." And he's just going. It's a contract negotiation. It's not a recruitment anymore.
I mean, I could see that.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
But
the team that's got the most money backing it, not necessarily the university, I understand that, but the team that's got the most money backing it is going to benefit from this. Look at okay, so
you're saying there's still going to be bagmen regardless?
Oh yeah. All right. So when De'Aaron King went to Houston, I know he left and he wouldn't have left if they not benched him. I don't believe he would have. Okay. So he goes to Houston. De'Aaron King does. Mm-hmm. Awesome quarterback, right? Coming out of high school. Had the NIL been present at the time, ain't no way that dude goes to Houston. Ain't no stinking way. He's going to go somewhere bigger. Look at Miami. All the Miami fans down there, they've been paying people for years. Look at how much more money they're going to have now that they can actually influx that in its league.
The question is, why did he go to Houston to begin with? If he was that good, why did he have to go to Houston?
Because he liked Houston. It was home. He wanted to stay near home. But even he stayed near home to try to help his family.
I say he still does that regardless because he's still going to be able to make money at Houston.
He's going to make more money somewhere else.
Yeah, he'll make more money.
It's like this. The quarterback from Alabama is already worth over $1 million. Hasn't played a full game. Took like 5 snaps or something like that. I don't know.
Which Nick Saban is really smart by saying that because that, you said, that helps recruiting.
He is. What? It does, because you can make more money as the face of Alabama.
But as everything evens out,
it ain't going to even out though. You're going to make more money as the face of a big time program as you will the face of, I don't know, somewhere else. Look at Notre Dame. You know how much money Notre Dame has? Not the university, but the influx of people that pull for Notre Dame. So can me and you go sponsor a guy?
I mean, if we had a company, I guess we could.
Why you got to have a company?
Because I don't think you can just get. I guess you could, like you
say,
they
can make money off their autographs.
Hey man, we're doing an autograph signing in the garage. We'll pay you $5,000 to come sign autographs for people.
That's right. Which takes away too, like when we get these Tennessee, Florida games, and you got all these little kids out there wanting autographs. Hey man, $5, I'll give them autographs. Is that what's going to happen?
I guess with some people, but I do know
that's shady, bro.
I do know that Jalen Hyatt, our wide receiver, said that he's not going to charge for autographs because he wants to keep some sort of purity to the game.
There has to be.
And that's the thing, like you said, it's the wild, wild west, and it's new territory, and it'll even itself out. Yeah, I think the first couple of groups of players are going to make the most money.
Oh, absolutely. They'll have to put a cap on it.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
And then do you?
But there's still going to be backroom deals, probably.
Right, and it's one of those things to where do they spread the money out? Because I understand the quarterback's the quarterback. I know that. We all know that. That's just life. That's the way it is. If you're mad about it, sorry, it's just the way it is. The quarterback's going to be the most paid guy on the team. It's always been that way. But the quarterback ain't nothing without the O-line. You know, and you got this dude making $1 million and probably going to drive a Beamer to practice, and then you got an offensive lineman who's putting in the same amount of work protecting this dude, and he ain't making but $1,000.
That's the way it works, though.
It is the way it works, but is it right?
Well, like I've said before, is it right that a supervisor makes more than a dock worker? Because the supervisor ain't nothing more than the people that work for him that make him look good.
Yeah, but when you talk about that with a company, you work your way up. Necessarily, I'm not. You know, you don't necessarily do that. I mean, I understand but
everybody's got a job.
I mean, I understand the starting quarterback making more than the third string quarterback, but I'm saying if you're starting, you're starting on a high. I mean, you might be the number one offensive lineman come out of college. You know, you're worth something.
That's when you have to hustle and work harder and find sponsorships for yourself.
That's true. Now we're just strictly talking football right now, but how's it going to affect? You know, I love college sports in general. I said we're going to stick to football, but the name, image, likeness thing it expands that, right? So, okay, say you could have got paid 5 years ago, 6 years ago, however long it's been, when Zion Williamson went to Duke, right? Mm-hmm. Does Zion do a one and done still? Because you know how much money that dude would have made.
But he's making more money in the league. I still think the ultimate goal is to make it to the next level, because you will make way more money. And maybe that's how you keep it is, you know, you keep the cap as a college player. You can only make this certain amount of money per year. Mm-hmm. And then that makes it more attractive to continue on to go to the league or something. You know, something like that.
Right. And then I don't mind the guys
I still think he's one and done.
And again, I don't mind.
Because he already got paid.
Well, I know. And I don't mind. Yeah. I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind the players getting paid. That's fine. There's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some sort of rules in place.
Yeah, and there's got to be a cap or something to where, like, if you know, maybe you can make $1 million and you can get all these endorsements. Say the cap is $1 million, right? And then say you get enough endorsements where you're making $1.5 million. Well, that 0.5, maybe, you know, you can only take $1 million, but I got these endorsements, so let me help my brothers out and spread this out.
Yeah,
I could see that. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. And I had another thought. Okay. So say you're the big time quarterback guy, right? You the big dude coming out, right? You're gonna make $1 million, get a free ride to college. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am a field hockey player. They want me to come play, but they can't offer me a full ride. So since you're making that money, should you pay for your school? That way, I could receive your scholarship. Or say I'm an academic. I'm good at academics, but my parents are having to struggle in finance, and me have to take student loans to pay for college. You're making $1 million plus you got a free ride. Should they take your free ride away, let you pay for school since you're making that much in endorsements, and that way they can offer scholarships to more kids that aren't able to necessarily get the sponsorships, not even athletes, but just academic students.
Well, the thing,
you know, it's expensive.
The thing with college is they do have a certain amount of scholarships for everything.
Yeah.
So that kid that's really good at academics, he's probably got a scholarship.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm saying.
But you're saying you know, that football player earned a scholarship based on his physical abilities, and I know he gets paid now.
Yeah.
But the simple fact of the matter is, he still earned that spot to get that scholarship.
Not disagreeing.
Now, should it be an option if that kid wants to and say, hey, I'll pay my tuition and you can use that scholarship for somebody else, maybe a walk-on player, or, you know, that should be up to their discretion.
Because, you know, you see every year these walk-on guys get awarded scholarships and how excited they are. They've been there for 2 years busting it. I know.
Most of the time, if a scholarship is awarded, the person's earned it.
I don't know. Maybe I sound.
But that goes into a whole other thing, you know, where college should be free anyway.
Yeah, maybe I feel like we're getting more into socialism, politics stuff than we are football. So let's bring it back here. But another thing, you know, going back to the realignment of things, just with the SEC, because I'm an SEC guy. Do you know how awesome the SEC baseball tournament's going to be?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be freaking phenomenal.
Now, Oklahoma, not so much, but Texas coming in.
Oh, man.
That'll be good.
I mean, you look at the College World Series this year, minus, I think you had State and ECU. Other than that, it was Big 12 and the SEC. And then softball. Oklahoma won the softball national championship. And other than Oklahoma in the Southeastern Conference, I think you had the University of Washington.
Something like that.
So it's going to be.
Maybe UCLA or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But it was, SEC's rolling in every sport right now.
Oh, yeah.
You got ACC basketball players transferring to the SEC because they're dominating.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be cool as far as.
You know why? It's probably because they even split their money. These schools have all this money to recruit, and everybody wants to play in the SEC. And I think that's a big reason why Texas and Oklahoma are moving to SEC. Yeah, they get the even share of money, but it helps recruiting so much. Think about how many high school players in Texas grew up wanting to play for Texas.
Yeah, true.
But they end up going to Texas A&M or LSU or Alabama because they want to play in the best league. Mm-hmm. Now, Texas might get an uptick in recruiting because they're like, oh, we get to play in the SEC now.
Well, that's the whole reason Texas A&M didn't want them in the SEC. That's the whole reason Missouri and Texas A&M did not want them in because of that pipeline over there. They say, hey, well, we're the SEC. We're the only SEC. We are the only SEC team in the state of Texas. I'm not going to be able to say that no more. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And I know your feelings on this, but I want to get. I don't know if everybody else knows. Dabo Swinney said he don't feel like players should be paid because they're amateurs. So what's your take on that? I know your take, but I want to.
Well, for one, I can't stand Dabo Swinney because he talks out of his rear end way too much.
Okay.
He also said that he would quit coaching if the players got paid. So I'm waiting for him to resign.
That's not going to happen.
No. But my thing is, okay, they don't deserve to be paid because they're amateur athletes, which amateur means they don't get paid. So what does that make you?
A coach of amateurs.
You're a coach of amateurs, which makes you an amateur coach, which means you shouldn't get paid because you're an amateur.
No, I knew how you felt. I just want everybody else to hear.
Yeah. And like I've said before when we debated this before, I don't go to the games to watch the coaches walk up and down the sideline.
No.
I go to watch the players on the field, and they deserve to be compensated. And if the coach, why should the coach get paid if the players don't?
I agree. Yeah.
And taking Dabo's like he said, taking his saying, you're an amateur coach. If you want to get paid to be a coach, then you prove yourself as an amateur coach in the college level, and then you work your way up to the pros.
I agree.
Isn't that the same system?
I don't have a problem.
So why all of a sudden are you against players being played? Is it because now that they're getting paid, they're not going to listen to you as much or something? Or I don't like the powers. Like I don't get what his deal is with it. But it makes you sound stupid when you say, they don't deserve to get paid because they're amateurs when you're the coach of the amateurs.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with them getting paid. Again, like I said, it's a full-time job. A lot of kids go to college that don't play sports. They pick up a second job. They have time for that second job. Mm-hmm. When you play ball,
you don't have time.
You got class, practice. That's your life for the most part. So I don't have
especially
a problem
back
with
in the day when you had two-a-days.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all.
I had no idea how they set those schedules up to where everybody could be off at the same block to where they can have practice. That's got to be really frustrating for the people that were making classes for them.
And the other thing we was talking about the NIL, what it does is it creates more jobs because they're going to have to hire people to come in and help these guys with their money, financial coaches or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So that's going to help as far as jobs getting spread out. So I think it's a good thing.
And here's also the big misconception too. Like I said, I get on the Tennessee forums and people are on there just griping and complaining. Oh, of course Tennessee got caught for something that's going to be legal now. No, we got caught for something that is still illegal.
Yeah.
Regardless of the NIL.
The school cannot pay.
The school cannot pay the players. The coaches cannot pay the players. It's not anything to do with the school, and that's what the schools aren't paying the players. I can't emphasize that enough. The university is not taking their money and paying the players. The players just have an opportunity to go out and reach out to people and be like, hey, do you want to sponsor me? Hey, Jimmy John's, do you want to pay me and I'll put an ad up on my page? Or, hey, local car lot. I'll do a commercial
Yeah.
for you, and you pay me. You know, and hey, you want me to do an autograph signing for $500? Cool, I'll do that. Or you know, go on Cameo and people pay me $50 to wish somebody a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the universities paying the players. They just have an opportunity to go secure money for themselves. That has nothing to do with the university. So, in that sense, we're still going to get in trouble because we had the school and players being paid by
you remember
coaches
when,
and stuff.
Remember when Terrell Pryor got in trouble for selling?
He
are you
got a
gonna
free
be able-
tattoo.
What? Are you going to be able to allow to things that the school gives you to sell or trade?
That I don't know.
I don't either.
I know everybody probably thinks that you're going to be able to buy official jerseys with people's numbers and names on it, but I don't know if they're going to go that far because then
the school's
then
gotta
the
pay.
school will have to
Yeah.
pay because they're marketing off that person's name, image, and likeness. So I don't know if they're going to. Maybe they want to do that because they know it'll boost jersey sales, and it's okay to give them a certain percentage of the sales.
Why not?
You know, they're still going to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have a, you know, Alvin Kamara jersey or, you know, something.
I got a team jersey, but it ain't got Tebow on it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that.
Yeah. But back in the day, they would have had to pay him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they should have paid him.
You know how much money he would have made back then?
Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing. You got these old heads that are upset. And,
Well, I mean, it is
I
what it
could
is.
have made money. But, you know, that's the way times are.
Yeah, and with social media, it's a lot easier for them to secure money for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Like you was talking about.
And that's what I was saying. If you're an offensive lineman, then you're just going to have to hustle just a little bit
More
harder than the
hustle, yeah.
quarterback. You know, I've already seen all kinds of different sponsorships come across my Instagram.
Yeah. But, you know, as far as let's get off the whole money thing. But as far as the conference realignment, with the SEC, with so me and you've talked, and we think it's eventually going to break away from the NCAA, right?
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with that, because the NCAA, I don't know exactly what they do besides enforce rules.
Enforce rules and just make it sanctioned to where it's a governing body to where everybody plays by the same rules for the most part. Like, the conferences can still make rules for themselves. Like,
I think so.
You know,
they can govern themselves.
And well, that's the way that it is. But then there's still overall rules that the NCAA.
And I don't see it as, I've heard some people talk about, well, it's going to end up being just the top 60 teams in one big power conference, and they're going to play. I don't think that's going to happen.
But if it does, I'm all for it. Why not have the best teams together in the same league? And
right, but the
SEC.
But when it gets to that and you break up every conference, I don't think that the conference themselves is going to let that happen.
Yeah,
because there's too
much pride too.
Yeah, you got the SEC. And every conference has its own network now by ESPN.
Yeah,
there's money there. Texas is giving up the Longhorn network, so it goes to show. I mean, it is money that is involved. Texas don't need any more money, and they're getting rid of the Longhorn network. So I think it's more of a competition thing. Money's involved, obviously, but I still think it's more of a competition thing to come into the SEC. And it will be interesting to see if Oklahoma, as much as they've made the playoffs, they've never, the Big 12's never won a playoff game.
True. Oklahoma's lost first round every time they've been.
Exactly. Notre Dame should have never went.
Never.
So it's going to be interesting to me to see if Oklahoma can run the gambit of the SEC and still end up where they have been. This is why I would wish it would have been like Clemson coming, so we could have beat up on Clemson all year long and let them see how good they do.
I've always said that for right now, for like the next 5 or 6, 7 years, we should switch Tennessee and Clemson. Let Tennessee build back up in the ACC because we could probably do okay. We could probably easily be top 2 behind North Carolina. And then let Clemson come in and see if they could prove themselves.
How crazy is it that when we talk about the ACC, we don't talk about Florida State anymore?
Or Miami.
Or Miami. Yeah.
Virginia Tech, even still.
Yeah, I mean,
they used to be bad.
When they come out of the Big East to join the ACC, everybody's like, oh, man, the ACC's stacked now. They got Miami, Florida State, and Virginia Tech. It's going to be on. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah. But back to the what was it? It was talking about Clemson coming over to the SEC and everything. Like, here's my thing. Is the SEC going to beat themselves up too much to get into the playoffs?
That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, you've got
when you start
obviously whoever wins is probably going to get in, but everybody's like, oh, we'll have like 5 or 6 SEC teams get in. Are we?
I don't know, man. Because once you take away 3 non-conference games, 3 or 4. I don't know, man.
Look at it like this, okay?
It's gonna be a lot harder.
If they realign and they move Alabama and Auburn over to the east, okay, that's Alabama and Georgia really don't ever have to play each other unless it's in the SEC championship game.
This is true.
Okay, so just say Georgia normally would pull out of the West Auburn because they play them every year, and say Mississippi State.
Right.
Well, there's their 2 West wins. And then they sweep the East. They go into the SEC championship game undefeated.
Right.
Alabama goes into the SEC West, into the SEC championship game undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are going to get in.
Right. Not going to happen, though. Not if they move over.
No. So now you got a Georgia team that would normally go to the SEC championship undefeated.
Well, we beat them sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. Okay, let's say they're 1 loss.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, I know what
But still, now, say they pull Oklahoma and LSU out of the West. That's potential 2. Play Alabama every year. 3. Maybe Florida gets them. 4. So you're taking a 1 loss to undefeated Georgia team. Now with the realignment and everything, they could potentially have 4 losses, and they get left out of the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Now this is all theoretical and hypothetical, but I mean, how good the SEC is going to be now, like.
But there's a 2-loss SEC team getting into the playoffs if it's a 12-team playoff?
I would say probably, but my thing is, like, we have to wait to see how everything realigns with all the other conferences and stuff, because if they go to 16 teams, then they're going to be probably beating up on themselves as much as we are. But that's always been the argument with the SEC is, like, well, we beat each other up because all of our teams are so good, and anybody can lose on any day.
That's true.
And, you know, our 2 losses are to 2 top 10 teams, and your 2 losses are to, you know, Pittsburgh and whatever.
Yeah.
So I think the arguments are still going to continue, and the 13th team is going to say they should have got in. That's always going to happen. If you got a 64-team, you know, playoff, then the 65th team is going to say we should have got in. The reason why I like the 12-team playoff is it gives more opportunity, and I honestly think it could possibly even the recruiting out, because think about it. There's only 4 or 5 teams that go to the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
You got Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and
Clemson.
And Clemson. Okay. Guess who's always got the top 5 recruiting classes?
Oh, yeah.
Those 5 teams.
Oh, yeah.
You know why? Because they go to the playoffs every year. So now if you boost it up to 12 teams, now like Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina says, you know, I can look these recruits in the eyes and tell them you can play for a national championship and actually mean it.
Yeah, because they'd have been in the 12-team playoff. I think.
I can look them in the eyes and get recruits now and not be lying to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might even out recruiting is, like I said, you know, say Tennessee makes the play. Obviously, I don't know why I said Tennessee. They're not going to make the playoffs. But say they don't traditionally make the playoffs and then they make it a couple years in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that player that loves Tennessee but was going to choose Georgia because he wanted to play for a national championship, he can choose Tennessee now because he's got an opportunity. And that's why I'm saying I think it'll even recruit out a little bit, and that's what I'm hoping for, and bring some parity back to college football. Because let's be honest, it's really boring for the same 3 or 4 teams to play each other in the playoffs every year. And I know the other teams need to get better, but it's hard when all the recruits are going to those teams.
I agree.
And it comes down to coaching at that point. But I just think that the 12 team is going to be exciting because that also brings more opportunity for a top team to lose.
Yeah.
You got to be on top of your game every time you play. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see a number 3 seed go down to a number 11 seed. You know, because anybody can get beat. You see upsets all the time. And yeah, maybe the number 1 seed loses and the best team in the nation doesn't win the national championship. But that's what makes it exciting. That's why people love March Madness.
Exactly.
You know.
I love March Madness.
Who doesn't like seeing a 13 seed make it to the Final Four?
Cinderella stories, man. That's what we talk about every year, right?
And it's easier to do in basketball because there's not as many players. You only need 1 or 2 good players to be able to beat a good team. Whereas football, you need a full team pretty much. But I just think it makes it more exciting and brings an opportunity for more upsets and I don't know. It just I'm excited for it.
I am too. I think it's going to work out good. I think that I don't know if Oklahoma and Texas know exactly what they're getting into, but if you look back over the years, we should have seen this coming. Oklahoma and Texas both been scheduled SEC teams now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know they said, "Oh, we've been talking about it over a year," but I think it's been in the works for a while.
Yeah, and it's just one thing I do have to address is if you're coming to the SEC, you better have your big boy pants on and not let this. They said horn.
Oh yeah, you think that'll be a penalty?
No, it shouldn't be a
It
penalty.
shouldn't be a penalty.
Who
No.
cares?
Yeah.
Are you that fragile? Like have that fragile of an ego that you get so upset when somebody does horns down? If you don't like somebody doing horns down after they score a touchdown, then stop them.
I agree.
It's the same thing that I always said with Cam Newton. You don't like him dancing in the end zone, then don't let him in the end zone.
Texas has been spoiled by the Big 12 though.
Yeah,
Bad.
because they were the conference, and then Oklahoma took it over.
Yeah.
But everybody bowed down to Texas in the Big 12 because they're the moneymaker, and they make all the rules. The Big 12's catered to Texas this whole time, and so of course they probably were like, if they do horns down, you may make it a penalty, or we're leaving.
Yeah.
You come to the SEC, it's fair game.
And as far as fans go, if you're a Big 12 Texas Oklahoma fan, I mean, I know the Red River rivalry shootout thing. It might get a little rough, but I mean, it gets pretty bad at times.
I can say I've probably gotten almost into a couple of fights. My wife's almost gotten into a couple of fights too.
You remember that year? It's the first year we went and seen them. It's Tennessee and Florida, and for some unknown reason, they put Will Muschamp on the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
And I got beer bottles thrown at me. We're leaving. I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying it's wrong.
I personally don't. I try not to get that.
It's a different atmosphere, and now that they can drink in the stadium, it's only got worse.
Nah.
You don't think so?
I think it actually helps.
Oh, because they're not so soused up when they come in.
Yeah, I think everybody said when that first happened. I don't know if we ever talked about this.
We did,
but the biggest thing that I saw on the forums when they announced that they were going to be able to sell alcohol in the stadium was, oh, great, now I'm going to be surrounded by a bunch of drunk idiots. You were already surrounded by it. And if anything, they were more drunk before because now they're shotgunning beers and drinking all kinds of shots out in the parking lot because they know they can't drink in the stadium. So they're binge drinking and they come in really messed up. Now they're like, I don't have to drink as much because I can. Yeah, the beer is expensive. I think it's like $8 or $9 for a tall boy or whatever.
No, water ain't cheap.
No, so that also kind of hinders them from drinking so much in the stadium as well because they're so expensive. And honestly, I was there when they first started selling it. I didn't see any more different.
And I'll be honest with you, when we went and seen Tennessee and Oklahoma might be the rudest fans I've ever met.
Well, they were real quiet for about 3.5 quarters.
I know them jokers were rude, man.
Well, that's what happens when you have this sense of school pride and you pull for a school that's really good.
Yeah.
Is you look down at other people that pull for other schools.
But I'm just saying, be ready. Be ready. Because when you go to Alabama, Texas, or Oklahoma, when you go to Tuscaloosa, you're not going to be, oh, hey, we're glad you're here. It's not going to happen.
Maybe at first. The game starts.
Oh, it's on. So, yeah. I mean, people in the SEC plan their whole week around Saturday. I mean, there's people miss weddings for SEC football. It's different, man. People think I'm crazy. If you go to North Carolina, Wake Forest, NC State, Duke game, like around here, it's local. It's fun. It ain't the same. No. It's nowhere near the same.
I was just thinking about the first time I ever went to Tennessee, and I got goosebumps just now.
Froze to death in September.
Yeah, but anyway. You go to the Vol Walk, especially back then when, like, say the Butch Jones era. Yeah. When we were ranked. Yeah. Top 10. Mm-hmm. There's just something about that atmosphere. You go to the Vol Walk, it's like it's an actual entity. Like you can feel the energy in the air, and people think that's crazy or whatnot. It's no different than, say, you're going to a concert of your favorite band, and like just the lead up to it, you can feel the energy. You can feel, and I not to get like all hippy dippy and stuff, but that's an actual thing where energy can like almost manifest around if there's enough people that are putting that kind of energy out into the atmosphere.
When we went to that Tennessee Oklahoma game, I wasn't pulling for anybody. Man, I was jazzed.
Yeah,
I mean that was
there's just something about it.
Different.
Yeah, and you don't get that with the NFL, and you don't get that in certain with certain teams. I'm sure it's like that when you go to Notre Dame and Ohio State and stuff like that. They've got stuff like that, but when you go to App State, it's not going to feel like a Tennessee Florida game.
It's every SEC school though.
Yeah,
it's all of them. I don't know about Vandy, but
well, yeah, it's like that at Vandy because all the Tennessee fans show up.
Yeah, sure. But it is. It's a different world, so just be prepared. It's not a cupcake thing.
No.
I mean, I want to take my girls to see Florida and Tennessee, but I ain't ready yet. I don't know if they're ready.
Not yet, yeah. But it's, yeah, like you said, it's like they say, the SEC, it just means more.
It does.
And I think everybody's that's a Texas and Oklahoma fan that's excited. I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad to have you because you boost up the prestige of the SEC immediately. But just know it's going to be rough sailing for you.
Yeah, and they will win. They'll win some games. They'll beat. Okay,
so Oklahoma will still get into the playoffs and stuff, but it's not gonna be with an unblemished record.
Okay, let's say Texas comes in, and we'll wrap this up. Man, I don't know how long we've been going. Let's say Texas comes in this year, Texas, Oklahoma, right? Out of all the SEC schools, so they play every SEC school that's in the conference right now. I know that's not feasible, but it's for sake of argument. Who do they win? Who do they beat?
Texas?
This year. If they were coming this year, who do they beat in the SEC? If they're playing every team from top to bottom, who do they beat? So we'll start in the West. Alabama?
No.
Auburn?
I don't know because he's got a new coach. I'm going to say yes, they can beat Auburn.
Arkansas?
No.
Missouri? They play Arkansas this year too.
Yeah.
Missouri?
Yes.
They beat Missouri?
Yes.
Ole Miss?
No.
Mississippi State?
Toss up.
Okay. Kentucky?
No.
Kentucky ain't no sham anymore, buddy.
Yeah, they're not bad. I'll put that as a toss up.
Okay. Oh wow, had a brain fart. Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Tennessee.
Yes.
Georgia.
No.
South Carolina.
Yes.
Florida.
No.
LSU.
No.
This is what I'm saying. You know.
And that ain't even all the teams, I don't think.
I probably missed someone.
But now Oklahoma, they're definitely gonna have more yeses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those toss-ups that Texas had, Oklahoma would beat them.
I don't know that we beat Oklahoma. I don't know if Florida beats them. We might. We may not. Just depends. I don't know. Just gonna see. Depends on how Emory Jones performs.
And it's gonna be.
Our defense.
And like I said, they say 2025, but I think it happens before. I think it coincides with when the 12-team playoff starts because they owe a certain amount of money for every year on their contract. So if they wait a couple of years, then that number goes down, and then they're going to make that money back in the first year, being in the SEC.
Yeah, I don't know why the SEC don't want to go ahead and just buy the contract out.
Because it's pretty expensive.
Yeah,
but also, what's going to happen is
you're going to make that money back on ticket sales easy.
Well, yeah, you're going to make the money back, but I think that the Big 12 just dissolves.
Yeah.
And so you don't owe money to a conference that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much out of your contract that way.
Well, when they lost Nebraska and Colorado, that hurt them within itself. I mean, who are you going to have carrying the Big 12? Oklahoma State? Iowa State? Is that it?
Well, see, from what I had saw...
Now?
What I had saw was that, obviously the Big 10, ACC, Pac-12, they expand out to 16 teams. And that gives you 4 16-team conferences. But then the American League takes what's left over of the Big 12 and puts them in the American League and makes them a Power 5 16-team conference, and the Big 12's no more.
Yeah, I don't think the Big 12's going to make it.
I don't think so either.
I just don't see it. I mean,
if they do, it won't be a strong conference.
No.
Which, honestly, it wasn't that strong of a conference to begin with.
No.
So, it was really only 2 teams. You get little blips here and there.
Every now and again.
A Baylor with Matt Rule, a Texas Tech.
With Kingsbury?
Well, with Mike Leach.
Well, yeah, Mike Leach.
TCU, there for a little while, was doing really well.
They were.
So you've got little blips here and there, but it really was only 2 teams.
Yeah.
Even before Nebraska and Colorado left.
As Texas, and I hate bringing up Texas, but they're the latter of the 2 teams coming. I'm sorry, it's just true. If you can't run the gambit in the Big 12, you're not going to run the gambit in the SEC.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Oklahoma comes in as a top 4 SEC team.
Oh Lord, yeah, maybe top 2.
Texas, middle of the pack.
I only put Oklahoma really under Alabama.
I saw a thing where, how Athlon Sports does the SEC power rankings and stuff. They did a theoretical power rankings if Texas and Oklahoma joined today, and they had Oklahoma at number 3 behind Alabama and Georgia.
Speaking of Georgia, is this Kirby's last year if you don't get it done?
No. Kirby will be there for as long as he feels like it.
Really?
I think so.
He can't win the big one. That's why they got rid of Mark Richt.
And that's my argument, but I mean, if you're not going to get it done with Kirby, who are you going to get that gets it done?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's true.
Saban's just screwed everybody over.
When Saban leaves, Dabo goes to Alabama.
Probably.
A lot of people think I'm stupid saying that.
But does he?
Maybe
there's
not
an
at
argument,
first.
There's
not at first.
There's an argument for both because he's from Alabama. He played at Alabama. But then you're following in 2 legends' footsteps.
Yeah. Well,
whereas you're at Clemson, you are the man.
I think it'll go, as a reference, it'll go like Carolina did. Dean Smith left. Then they got Brad Doherty or something like that. And they went down. So then Roy comes in and brings them back. So I think if Saban leaves, if whoever they get doesn't succeed the way they want to succeed, which nobody's going to beat.
No, nobody's going to succeed on Saban's level. Ever.
Nobody.
Ever.
But it goes down. Then he'll come and build it back up.
Maybe.
And they're going to pay him ungodly amounts of money if they want him. Well, he's making ungodly amounts of money now, Clemson.
I know who's not going to succeed Saban.
Who?
Jeremy Pruitt.
That's true. That's true.
That was everybody's worry at Tennessee. It was like, oh man, if he gets good and Saban retires, then we're going to lose Jeremy Pruitt. Well,
No, it ain't happening.
But yeah, it was like that's always the question. If you fire somebody that's doing decent, who are you going to get that makes it even better?
Yeah.
But with Kirby, I've always said he's Mark Richt 2.0. He's got all the talent in the world. Like, you've got numerous number 1 recruiting classes.
Well, when he let Justin Fields go, that hurt him.
They would have won
at least one
national championship with Justin Fields.
I feel that way.
Yeah, but he also has to get his 4th quarter coaching under control, and
I don't want him to ever win another game.
Oh no!
In my opinion.
Well, that's
but, you know,
that's the hatred for the school.
That's true.
But that's like me. Like, I like Spurrier now.
Yeah, we're not trying to
looking back at Spurrier. Like, he's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He's funny. I enjoy his quips now.
Yeah, we're not bipartisan on this thing at all.
No,
I'm a Ford guy. You're a Tennessee guy. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
But now, as far as college football goes, season getting ready to ramp up. I guess Tennessee's got one of the first games, right? September 2nd.
We have. Yeah, I want to say that's the first game.
We'll be there. But as far as way too early predictions, really, still, who's in the playoff this year? The 4-team playoff.
The 4-team playoff.
They're going to be the same.
Yeah, it's going to be the same teams. It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be Clemson. I don't think anybody beats them out of the ACC. North Carolina maybe.
No.
But I don't see it. There's a lot of hype with them, but
Miami's not shabby.
I don't think Manny
yet.
Diaz is the guy down there.
Really?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do.
But it'd be Clemson, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Ohio State runs the Big Ten again.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost some players.
Unless Scott Frost can do something in Nebraska, which I don't know.
That's not going to happen. So the last one that's going to come down to me is going to come down to Georgia and Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But
you know, Oregon's bringing back a lot. Maybe the Pac-12 gets in this year.
And it's also going to help that this year we actually have non-conference games. So
that matter.
Well, you know.
Well, I'm saying they're not all pushovers.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But you got to think, first game of the year, somebody's playoff hopes are going to get pretty.
Was it Georgia Clemson?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like whoever loses that game will probably have to win out the rest of the time.
I don't remember who. There's another one. It's Georgia and Clemson.
I know Alabama, Miami's one. But that ain't going to be a game.
No, that won't be a game. I do know Georgia and Clemson, and there's a couple like week 2 or week 3. I know Texas and Arkansas plays. Staten told me about that one. I don't really keep up with Texas, obviously. But there's some big games that goes on early in the year, and I'm glad it's getting that way. You know, used to the first week was just garbage.
And see, that's another good thing about the SEC expanding out is that'll probably take out a non-conference game. And I'm, pro and con here. The pro is there's going to be more games that people want to watch, and that's the main reason for expansion is, nobody wants to watch Alabama, Western Carolina, unless you're an Alabama fan.
No, you have one.
But even Alabama fans are probably like, nah, I'm not going to really watch that when I watch highlights. And,
it's cool once in a while you'll see something happen, like when App State beat Michigan.
Yeah,
that don't happen a lot.
But for the money aspect of it, your money's going to be made off of the big time games.
Yeah, but now that's another thing. Talking about the money, does that hurt these little schools?
It does, and that's the con.
Because
is that
they get this money to go play these
that
big
keeps
schools.
Their programs together.
Yeah, so
and not just the football program. They use that for all their programs. Mm-hmm. So that's the con to it.
Football pays for a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't realize.
But also, like when you got better games, like there's when you solve one issue, it creates a bunch of other issues, and then when you solve that one, it creates another one. So okay, now we got a bunch of really good games.
Yeah.
Season ticket prices go up.
Yeah.
People don't buy as many season tickets.
True.
That's one of the cool things about Alabama playing Western Carolina is. Somebody that's never went to an Alabama game can afford a ticket to go watch them play Western.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's not the game you want to go watch, but you get to experience a game day at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Right, and that itself, to a lot of these schools,
you can afford to take your kids with you and stuff because the tickets are only $15 a piece.
It's
versus
an experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've never been to an Alabama game. I'd like to go. Okay, well, I'll go watch them play Western because. The tickets are cheap.
Right.
So that kind of goes away. But also, the more good games that are on TV, the less people want to go to the game itself. Because
they'll miss another game?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Tennessee plays Florida. Well, I'm not going to be home to watch the Clemson-Georgia game. Something like that. Right. So a lot of people will be like, well, I'll stay home and I can watch all the games at home.
But the diehards are still going to show up.
Yeah, they're going to show up. But I think it does hurt. With TV contracts, you've seen a dip in stadium attendance, I think, for the most part. Because people like to watch things because back in the day, the only way to watch Tennessee play was to go to the game.
Yeah.
So that's why they had such a big stadium. They want to pack as many people in there as possible.
It's still selling
because it's not on. No.
Is it not?
No.
Well, if you start winning, it will.
Yeah. I mean, winning cures everything.
It does. They're still selling out of Alabama, and their games on TV every week.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're winning national championship.
My God, they have.
As long as you're winning, people will show up.
They have 100,000 people for the spring game. So.
Yeah, but if you're a team like Tennessee, it's harder to sell tickets when you're not winning. And people would rather go home and watch a better game. Yeah, because that Tennessee's probably going to get blown out in a game.
Yeah.
But, that's what happens when you expand out to where all these conferences are going to have better matchups. People like to watch.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So
the matchups are what's going to make it. And I think the fans will still show up. I don't think that the only thing I worry about is. I just hope they don't shut everything down again. And I don't want to even get into all that in politics, man. I hope not. I'm so sick of. We didn't get to go to a game at all last year. Mm-hmm. That stunk.
But I didn't have to pay for them this year.
Well, I know,
just rolled them over. But
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It definitely sucks. And I haven't heard anything. I know the last I heard was a couple of. I guess it was about a month or so ago. They said that it would be 100%. But now I don't know if they're changing it. I figured they would already mailed my tickets to me that they haven't yet. I don't know if they're in the process of trying to change anything, but the games aren't as exciting if people aren't there.
No.
Like even watching it on TV, to hear the crowd go crazy and watch them go crazy in the stands, it just, it's boring. It's like you're watching a scrimmage if there's no fans in the stadium.
I'm over it. Just let people do what they want to do. We are America. or we were. Just do it. Nike, just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let us go. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, heck with it. I just want to see some football. You know, and then I don't know. It is what it is. I don't think you unfair Tennessee shutting down. Not unless the NCAA does something.
Yeah.
The state itself is not going to shut down.
That's true.
And I was over there last March, and it was still wide open. So, Florida, I don't think will shut down, and that goes all political, but we're not getting into that mess. Yeah. So, like I said, I wish they'd keep politics out of ball. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't have a problem with that, but as far as politics getting involved, let's play ball, man.
Like, Texas government trying to keep
Texas
Texas
stupid.
from doing.
And that ain't going to help, and it ain't going to matter because they're going. I guess because maybe it's a public university is why they got a right to say something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's probably because it's going to hurt all the other universities monetarily wise.
You could have went, probably, maybe. Well, maybe not, but you could have done something.
Either way, now
Oklahoma State and Texas State should have jumped that wagon before Oklahoma and Texas. Of course, I don't know that we want them, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for sure. I'm excited. Maybe the next podcast we can do, we can break down some schedules.
Yeah, something like that.
I enjoy doing that.
Oh yeah.
Breaking down the schedules and figuring out who we think will win and lose and what'll be what. So, but thanks for watching.
Oh yeah.
RockySwamp out.
RockySwamp out. RockySwamp.
Get it right.
Whoppy.
He's rusty.
Yeah.